Hello and welcome back to Running on Points. This time I went to San Diego, California for the Rock and Roll Half Marathon. The Rock and Roll San Diego Half Marathon was held on June 4th, 2023. I flew to San Diego the day before the race and met my sister there for a girls' weekend. We stayed at the Hilton San Diego Bayfront Hotel, which was wonderful, and you can check out my review of the hotel in a separate video. Packet pickup for the race was held at the San Diego Convention Center, which was right across the street from my hotel. It was so convenient. The packet pickup was organized and flowed very well through the various sections so that there were never lines longer than a few minutes. The race started at 6:15 a.m., which meant for a nice early start. I'll tell you a little bit later about my adventures getting to the start line, but for now, let's go through the half marathon. If there's one thing I've learned about myself in the last few races, it's that I do not know how to read elevation charts on race course maps. I'm going to blame being a flatland Midwesterner girl, but somehow after looking at the course map, I thought that San Diego was going to be flat. But it was not flat. It was not flat at all. The saving grace was that June in San Diego isn't hot, so it was really only about 60 degrees and overcast at the time of the race. The course wound its way through many diverse neighborhoods of San Diego, starting in Balboa Park, which is home to a multitude of museums, gardens, and famously the San Diego Zoo. We didn't really see much of the exciting parts of the park, but it was still nice to get the lay of the land before I went and visited the park the next day. The half marathon route ends downtown, just a couple of blocks from the finish line party at Waterfront Park. It shares a start and finish line with the full marathon, but the marathoners go obviously much further and through a different section. We split off somewhere in the middle of the race. My favorite part of the race was the end of the long uphills towards the first few miles that made its way through the residential area of Mountain View Drive. It seemed like the whole neighborhood came out to cheer us on, and they were serving every type of alcoholic drink imaginable from their little end of the driveway giveaway tables. While I don't personally like a 7 a.m. whiskey with my 13.1 miles of running, it was really fun to see the whole community turn out and to be cheered on through what turned out to be the peak of the elevation at that point. There were even some signs that said, "This is the last of the uphills, you made it to the top," and I needed that encouragement. I didn't think I would be able to come close to my Boston record time on this hilly course, but I was hoping to be able to redeem myself after the misery that was the Cincinnati Flying Pig Half Marathon the month before. So my strategy for this race was to break through the crowd at the beginning without burning out, and then to just keep the 2-hour pacer woman in my sights the whole time. I succeeded, never letting her leave my view until I passed her around mile 10. I was not realizing that since I had started the race a few corrals behind this pacer woman, that by passing her, it would actually mean not just getting a sub 2-hour time, but actually beating it by a few minutes. I came across the finish line to my sister telling me I was fast. When we looked at my official time, I just laughed. I finished the San Diego Rock and Roll Half Marathon in 1 hour, 57 minutes, and 21 seconds, which is just 1 second longer than my personal record from Boston. I was kind of kicking myself that I couldn't have just gone 2 seconds faster and gotten a new PR, but then my sister reminded me that the hills of this race, compared to the flatter Cambridge race that I ran, made this my best race yet, and I like her way of thinking. The one piece of advice that I have for anyone wanting to run this race is to be sure you really plan out your race morning transportation well. I woke up just before 5 a.m. on race day, and both Uber and Lyft showed reasonable travel times and high but expected prices, so I kept an eye on them the whole time while I got ready. But when I got to the lobby to call my car, the apps just kept failing because too many people were trying to call cars at that point, but there were no cars that were able to leave the start line area after they dropped off people who already went to the race because there were too many road closures. So it led to a shortage of cars. And if it weren't for Jacqueline, my new best friend who shared her car that she reserved the night before with me and a fellow racer, John, I would have been running the 2 miles to the start line. So definitely reserve your cars ahead of time or stay within walking distance of the start lane. Always. I did a quick pass through the finish line party after the race, taking my mandatory picture with the San Diego sign, but I didn't stay for the concert because I wanted food and a shower ASAP. It looked like a fun party though, so I imagine that it was enjoyed by those who stayed. San Diego's Rock and Roll Half Marathon is now my second favorite of the 4 rock and roll courses I've done, just behind Las Vegas on the Strip at night. I highly recommend this race and San Diego in general. Everyone was so nice, it was beautiful, and it made for a great run. So don't forget to check out my other San Diego videos, including the waterfront walk from the airport, the Hilton San Diego Bayfront Hotel review, and a look into my full day at the San Diego Zoo. As always, thanks for stopping by Running on Point.